Hello, everyone. Welcome to Net Tuesday, Philly NetSquared. My name is Seth Horwitz. I see there's some familiar faces here and some new faces here. How many people are here for the first time? You know, exactly what it always is, about 50% or something like that. Okay, great. Well, welcome, and hopefully it'll be a fun experience for everyone. I want to explain a little bit about Philadelphia NetSquared and Net Tuesday, and we'll get on with our program. We have a lot of ground to cover. It's going to be a lot of fun. What I want to talk about, so there are actually NetSquared groups around the world. They come in a lot of different shapes and sizes, and they come in different orientations in terms of exactly what they're about, because it's a very loose sort of affiliation. Here in Philadelphia, we tend to use the phrase using the social web for social change. It's a broad phrase. Both social web and social change are both very broad terms, and we invite you to identify them and define them any way you want to. But basically, the idea of using some of the new technology to make the world a better place, there's a lot of potential for it, and we have a lot to learn from one another in trying to help each other achieve that. The main activity that we do is on the first Tuesday of every month, called Net Tuesday, which is where you are right now. We've been doing this since May of 2008 on a bunch of different topics. I'll show you some of the past ones in a moment. And then on the second Tuesday of the month, which is next Tuesday, the 13th, we'll have a planning meeting, and everyone is invited to participate in that, to think about future sorts of events. We also have a website and a Google group that you're invited to check out if you're so inclined. The past year, these are some of the topics that we've covered, or different. Some are topics, some are actually formats. Last month, some of you were here for the Social Web Sampler, which was a kind of little mini unconference, which had 15 small group discussions on different topics. One of the leaders of those groups was Rob Kall, who's actually going to be the leader of tonight's session. And you can see some of the other topics here. I won't go through them right now. But we're basically interested in any sort of topics that you might be interested in, that you think utilize this technology or these strategies for nonprofits or social betterment. In addition to the NetSquared Net Tuesday events, we're about networking. And so please sign in the sheet up there. Try and make it legible if you haven't already done so. And what I'll do is I'll collect those names and email addresses and send them back out to the people in the room. Only to the people in the room, because you haven't authorized it to go any further. But it can go out to you folks, along with a scanned image of your business card. So please leave a business card there, and everyone else will get a copy of it, or a scanned image of it. If you don't have a business card, or if you want to create an alternate one, there are some blanks there, and you're invited to use those as well. Most of us are wearing these tag tags, a way of tagging ourselves, both with our name and something else. In this case, it's something about our heritage, and that's really just a blatant attempt at inviting people to speak to one another and to network and to make a connection, because who knows what these connections can lead to. And we have a strict no questions too stupid policy, so we ask you all to test the limits of that, and don't be afraid of doing that. Some housekeeping. There's food up here, and we don't want to bring anything home. So please, eat it up. Some cookies will be coming hot out of the oven in a little bit, so they'll be added to it. They haven't come yet, I don't think. No. We have composting and recycling, and actually, Fitz, if you wouldn't mind bringing those composting and recycling things up to the food, that's where they should have been. This is a platinum LEED certified building. So we try and do as much composting as possible. All of the food is compostable, even the meats and cheeses. The bathrooms are out right past the elevators. We have open Wi-Fi access in this building. It's just an open Wi-Fi under AFSC network is the name of it. You don't need a password. And if you park in the parking lot across 15th Street, get your card validated at the front desk, and it'll be a discounted fee for that. The other piece of housekeeping is that we are videotaping tonight's videotaping old technology. We're video recording tonight's event, which will be available online. We're also streaming it live, or 15 seconds short of live, out on the web as we speak, so that people will be able to see that. If you're uncomfortable with being videotaped, video recorded, why don't you sit on that side of the room toward the food, and we'll avoid any kind of crowd shots that would get you in that shot. Tonight's plan is pretty simple. We're going to do some go-around introductions in a moment, give people a chance to introduce themselves, and then Rob Kall, our speaker for the evening, is going to give us an overview of various strategies and some background information about the whole concept of bottom-up social web marketing. That'll provide some grist for the mill, so to speak. And we'll break into some small groups to share our own experiences with these sorts of strategies and come back to the whole group to seek and provide to one another advice and feedback, both from Rob and from other folks as well. And hopefully the idea here is that you learn something, we all learn something, we share something, and you actually try and get some of your specific concrete needs met, because it's hard to live in this social web world without having questions and running into challenges. So let's try and meet some of those challenges tonight. Finally, I just want to thank the American Friends Service Committee, who's sponsoring this event and enabling us to eat some hoagies and buy some cookies and use the space that we have here. So that's essentially the evening's agenda here. What I'd like to do is invite people to introduce themselves. I'd like to ask people to use the microphone, not because we can't hear you in the room, but because that makes for a more effective video stream and recording. So if you could do that, we'd appreciate it. Hey, Fitz, could you turn up the volume on this just a little bit?
Okay.
My name is Seth Horowitz, as I said before. I'm a consultant under the name of Communishare Consulting in areas of knowledge management and online collaboration. And I work primarily here with the American Friends Service Committee, which provides the connection that we have here. What I'd like to ask people to do as they introduce themselves is to say a little bit about themselves and where they're from, but also take some time to elaborate on why you're here tonight and what would you like to try and get out of the evening. And Rob is going to be taking mental notes of those things and trying to make sure that they get addressed. And for myself, I think that what I want to try and get out of the evening is that it's so hard to keep up with all these things, the different sorts of tools and techniques, and I just want to learn some of the more recent applications of how these things are being used, especially in ways that nonprofits are able to take advantage of them to better their causes. So I'll start over here.
Good evening. I'm Tara Collins. Everybody calls me Tay. I work here for the American Friends Service Committee. I'm the online constituency coordinator for the American Friends Service Committee. I'm here just really to learn more about social media. I started doing a lot more with Facebook and Twitter through my new position, and I'm just looking at ways to try to coordinate that with my email fundraising efforts. So that's what I do.
Good evening, I'm Lou Backover. I'm an independent marketing consultant for various organizations, and I wanted to learn something new about social media marketing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dana Rosen. I'm a business development officer for the Bancorp Bank, and I've just come to meet some new people, learn about social media. Definitely could know more about that, and just glad to be here.
Good evening. My name is Joe De La Cruz. I'm the founder of a startup company in the Philadelphia area called Adrex. And what we do is we do software for e-commerce space, facilitating the checkout of online purchases. And one of the reasons that we're here is we currently are in the beta phase. We have some beta customers in the Philadelphia area, but we thought that there might be a strong presence in the nonprofit area, and we're looking for some nonprofits to work with as well.
My name is Dan Fader. I'm a web developer with a small shop called Digital Aid, which is based in Seattle, but we have consultants and clients all over the country. We work primarily for small to medium-sized progressive nonprofit organizations. I've also recently started doing some volunteer work with the Media Mobilizing Project in West Philly. I guess I'm here to help make sure that I'm helping my clients do the best that they can with social media.
Hello, I'm Viv Hawkins. I work with the Shalom Center, an organization that talks about having a prophetic voice. I think it has one. And it uses largely an online method to communicate. So how do we do that better? In addition to that, I've been involved with getting the word out to Quakers about Occupy Philadelphia and doing some training online. So all those pieces, I'm wanting to know how they could come together more.
Hi, my name is Pamela Bay, and I am a freelance WordPress developer and designer. I have a small company called All Good Media Solutions. I do a lot of volunteer work, and I volunteer for web design development. I also volunteer in other aspects, but this is my first time volunteering with an organization for social media. And there's some things. The reason why I'm here specifically is that I'm here with an organization, Girl Scouts of Hearts of Hudson County. So they're in charge of all the Girl Scouts in the heart of Hudson County of New York State. And so I would like what I want to accomplish here tonight is to come up with a web strategy for a social media strategy for them, because they have a Facebook, a Twitter, a Foursquare, a Pinterest, a YouTube, a Google Plus, and a LinkedIn. And some of these things, like Facebook and a Google Plus, duplicate content, just how to come up with a strategy of how to plan out what I'm going to tweet, write, text, Facebook about for this group.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Perkins. I work with Philographica, an arts organization in Philadelphia. I work with several other arts organizations, and I'm an artist myself. And I'm trying to get re-inspired because my attention span for this stuff is like nothing. I have so many other things that I'd rather be doing. So just to hear what other people are doing to keep themselves current.
Hi, my name is Marisabel Isol, and I'm with Centro de Apoyo Comunitario, which is a small nonprofit organization in Upper Darby, and I need to learn all this stuff. So.
Hi, my name is Kathia Jane. I'm a rockabilly singer, and I have a band, and I'm here to improve my web strategy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lamar Kendrick, and I come to this monthly to learn how to harness technology to improve community quality of life.
My name is Paul Matheson. I run a 20-year-old professional services firm, PJ Matheson. Check us out on the web. One of our endeavors these days is political redistricting reform. And I'm here because and even though we're involved with technology, my firm is, I'm here because our son has gone off to college and I've lost my ability to keep on top of these sorts of things.
Hi, I'm Taylor Walker. I'm a freelance web developer, and I'm here really just to network with people and learn as much social media strategy as I can.
Hi, I'm Randy Zeitman. I'm president of Philadelphia Web Design Company, but I'm also president of the Delaware Valley Chamber of Commerce. And this year we're forming a chamber that's going to hopefully specifically serve nonprofits. And what I would ask of you tonight is to tell me what the chamber can do for you as a nonprofit, and tell me what courses that you think the chamber should teach, and if you could help teach them. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Sather. I work for Jenkins Law Library. We're a private membership-based law library down the street. And I used to come here pretty regularly. I've taken a little hiatus, but I consider Philly NetSquared kind of a continuing education for social media best practices and new innovations. So I guess I'm here just to keep myself sharp. Thanks.
I'm Rob Kall. I'm going to be giving the talk tonight, and I'll tell you more about myself when I get there.
I'm Leroy Forney. I'm a visual artist. I did the portraits that are hanging in the other room over in the Cherry Room, and I'm here to keep up or try to learn how to best use the social media.
Hi, I'm Donna Miller. I'm from Historic St. George's, which is a church and museum down in Old City, and NetSquared's helped me save a lot of money and learn some new tricks, so I'm here to keep that up.
Hi, my name is Mary DeRoe. I have worked for nonprofits all of my life and doing marketing and public relations, and if you don't know this stuff, you don't have a job.
Hi, I'm Faye Anderson, Chief Evangelist for the Cost of Freedom Project, a citizen-led initiative that is developing location-based apps to help voters, to provide voters with information on how to get a voter ID. Before your eyes glaze over, you will be hearing more about voter ID in the coming months because it looks like tomorrow, on the 47th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, the Pennsylvania State Senate is going to pass a voter ID law. If you don't know what voter ID is, for the first time, voters will have to present government-issued photo ID in order to vote. And I'm here tonight because I need help. Since last month, we launched our fundraising campaign on Start Some Good. We have more likes and tweets than you can shake a stick at, but no pledges. And a few pledges. And it's like, folks, this is a fundraising campaign. And so how do you convert, Rob, how do you convert those likes and tweets into a $10 pledge?
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Danielle Moskowitz. I'm the AIDS Education Month Coordinator at a Philadelphia-based nonprofit organization called Philadelphia Fight. And I've only been there a few months. This is a new position that they developed, and so I'm hoping to bring some new ideas with social marketing to the company. So I'm excited. This is my first time here, so thank you. I just press it.
Go ahead here. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Doug Barg. Among other hats that I wear, I am an organization development and a strategic planning consultant for membership organizations and nonprofits. And tonight brings together two of my favorite things, social media and networking. So I'm a happy camper.
I'm Ted Reed, and I'm here with Friends Center City. It's an organization of older people who want to live, work, and contribute to the city. And we do most of our communication through our website and email communications. And this is for an organization with a lot of people who are just learning how to do that. So we're interested in trying to figure out how to help them do that and how we can do it as well.
Hi, I'm Diane Reed, related to Ted Reed, but doing something different. I had a social service agency called Cade Kids, and this is about my 5th time here. And I wanted to say thank you to Philly NetSquared because Seth helped me find a GIS app developer for a healthcare innovation challenge proposal that we did for saving healthcare costs in Medicaid. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mo Manklang. I work with generosity.org. I'm the community connector, and that just means that I go out and try to find out what nonprofits and social good organizations are doing in the city. That's what Generosity does. We find out what people are doing, we write stories about it, and we are in the midst of creating tools to help people manage volunteers, to fundraise better, and just overall collaborate across different disciplines and even within your own discipline. Seth was kind enough to allow me to do a little bit of a promo. We do a monthly meetup. If anybody doesn't know what meetup.com is, it's just a way for people to find other people who are like-minded in their interests. So it's just another good social media thing if nobody knows about it. So we have a monthly meetup where we go to nonprofits and invite people, just general public, nonprofit leaders, anybody who's interested in doing good, and we bring them in the doors of nonprofits so that people can get to know what they're doing. So our next one is next week, March 14th. March 14th at the Urban Affairs Coalition. So if you go to meetup.com and you look for Philly Nonprofit Meetup, that will be us. And so I just wanted to invite everybody in the room to that, just because it's something interesting. It's using social media for social good. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So if any of you who are doing things with nonprofits, come and talk to me and Mike, because it's our job to know what you're doing.
So Mo, you actually travel to different nonprofits to do the meetups?
Yes,
really,
we do.
Really a cool idea.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mike Kaiser, and I also work at Generosity.org, and I love when Mo goes first, because she gets to explain everything. No, she pretty much covered all the bases. Generosity.org, we launched in July. We're a new organization. We really are excited, and we want to know about what nonprofits are doing, the kind of milestones that you're taking towards your mission. We want to document them on our site. We want to know about them, and we want you to help us collaborate and build this social media platform for local nonprofits to engage with local people, whether that's fundraising, volunteering, finding out about events, and just generally getting involved. So, like Mo said, please come and see us. We'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Yes, hi, my name is Nathan. I am a fledgling freelance journalist / writer in college right now. Obviously, trying to be a reporter. Right now, I am currently volunteering my writing services, specifically for nonprofits, to build my portfolio and get my name out there. And I also, in addition to that, I also write about small business owners and nonprofits in the area and submit them to different, outlets to get them free publicity and exposure. So if you are interested in me writing about your organization and or small business, please contact me. Thank you.
My name is Maud, and I'm here to learn more things and keep up to date with things. Thanks.
I'm Noah Furtman. I work for New York Life Insurance. We do personal business and estate planning. The main thing is just to kind of network with people and extend my services. So, thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathy Tillman, and I run a small nonprofit called Intercultural Coalition for Family Wellness, otherwise known as ICFamWell. We have an initiative in the Philadelphia area that we started about 2 years ago, La Puerta Abierta, the Open Door, which trains bilingual practitioners, interns, volunteers who provide services through their training and through their mentorship to the undocumented, uninsured Latino community, which is growing in leaps and bounds and have no access to mental health services. So we do a lot of networking. We work in collaboration with many other local organizations and national organizations. So while I have many young interns and volunteers that work with us, I realize that as an old head, I really need to learn this too and not have such dependency on their skills, which is sort of sad sometimes. Thank you.
Hi, I'm King Downing, and like Seth, I also work at AFSC. I'm the program analyst for our Healing Justice program. Healing Justice meaning criminal justice. We're trying to look at a way to restore people and not just punish them. I've been getting his emails for a good while and was always rushing because I live a long ways from Philly, but I had some time, and so I finally gotten down here to be able to check this out. Long overdue. And I don't know what I don't know, so I'm hoping to learn something and then share it with our programs around the country.
Back that way.
I'm Tony Horizon. I also work for AFSC. Upstairs, I'm the Director of Educational Outreach.
I'm Fitzgerald Putnam. I'm an IT consultant here and your cameraman for the night.
Okay, well, thank you all. Okay, so we're about to start the program. Two things I just wanted to mention real quickly is that we're very informal here, so please feel free. We're not going to take a formal break, so feel free to get up and get some food or something during the during the session itself. And also, one of the things I didn't mention was that during when we're all done afterwards, for those people who want to, some of us often go out for a bite or a drink afterwards and continue the conversation, and everyone's invited to do that. So at this point, I want to invite up Rob Kall, who will be he's going to actually introduce himself because he can do a better job of that than I can. But he's the founder of Op-Ed News and Bottom Up Mind, and has a radio show with some terrific podcasts in it that I just discovered today. So why don't you do a better job than I just did?
Hi. So
I publish op-ed news, which I kind of accidentally fell into, starting a blog. And I had some history designing software for biofeedback, and so I started working, after a couple of years using some really primitive software, working with a programmer, a coder, who would implement what I wanted to have the website do. I didn't know about WordPress or Blogger or anything like that, so I just had him build something for me. And it's been about 7 years now that he's been building it for me. And so I have my own proprietary content management system software. Most people use WordPress or Joomla or something like that, and that's fine. But it's given me a lot of experience. And what happened was I went from having a personal blog to something that is now ranked one of the top 100 blogs by Technorati overall, with about 250,000 to 800,000 unique visitors a month, and over 140,000 articles that have been posted to it since 2005. And in the last couple of years, I've done some consulting, working with people who are either in nonprofits or for-profits, associations, authors, things like that, on how to get their presence most effectively on the web. In the process of developing my website, and which now has over 60,000 registered members and over 50 volunteers, I figured something out. The more I trusted other people, the more I trusted the writers, the volunteers, the readers, the commenters, the better the site did. I let go of control, and it got better, and it got bigger. About the same time, maybe a little bit later, I had a conversation with Joe Trippi. Joe Trippi was the campaign manager for Howard Dean in 2003, 2004, who was really credited with the first serious internet election campaign. And this was in 2008, this conversation, and he was talking about Hillary Clinton. He was saying that Hillary had one of the most powerful top-down campaigns in recent history, and she was being beaten by Obama because he had a bottom-up campaign. And it was a word that really grabbed me, bottom up. And it started popping out at me in different places. And to me, bottom up is an approach. It's a way of doing things, a way of seeing things, a way of working, a way of cooperating. It is cooperation. It's interdependence. It's sharing. It's sharing of power and responsibility. Another word that really kind of has emerged with the Occupy Wall Street phenomenon is horizontalism. Horizontal participation, which I think is very similar to bottom-up. Bottom-up describes grassroots. Bottom-up describes decentralization as compared to centralization. Bottom-up is everybody's involved as compared to hierarchy and power and control and domination. So the other side of bottom-up is top-down. So that's a little bit of a kind of a brief overview of the idea. And what I came to was a realization that we're going through a huge revolution, a change, a transition in our culture, in the way we work, in the way we communicate, in the way our brains function, from top down to bottom up. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through a brief overview of some ways to think about this, because what I'm trying to give you is a kind of a bigger picture that it's not just about Twitter and Facebook. It's about a revolution in the way people's brains work and the way the culture works, the way work is done. And if you can take that bigger picture and apply it to social media, I think it'll make more sense to you and give you more of a way to tap into the power of it. Just as an aside, I've been very involved in the world of positive psychology. And back in the 80s, I got into taking biofeedback equipment and measuring people's spinal muscles. And what I would do is I would ask them to smile as hard as they can. Try it. And they would work. and I'd have them hooked up with electrodes that would measure their muscle activity. And I'd get a reading, 10 microvolts, 40 microvolts, whatever. Then I would kid around with them, and I would get them to laugh spontaneously. Every time their readings were anywhere from 2 to 10 times higher when they were laughing and smiling effortlessly. Now, I bring it up because I really believe that if you can get this idea of bottom-up, I think it'll make it a lot easier for you to reflexively put together an understanding of how social media ties into what's really a much bigger wave and a much bigger revolution. If you're over 30, then your brain functions differently than people under 30. The older you are, the more so. If you're under 30, you have a different brain than people over 30. And it's really different because your brain was basically marinated in the internet. And it's changed the way you look at things and the way you think. So I want to go through a little bit about how those processes have evolved and affected people. I want to start, there's this idea that shows up in all kinds of conversations. It's the 80-20 law, or Pareto's law. Tipping Point talks about it, Clay Shirky talks about it, and Here Comes Everybody. It shows up a lot. But the basic idea is that it doesn't take a lot of people to make a big change happen. You know, there's a conversation going on among activists now. You got to get everybody involved. No, you just need to get the right people involved, and just enough of them, and then things can really change. That applies to social media too. So it doesn't necessarily matter that you don't have as many followers on Twitter as Charlie Sheen. So let's start with anthropology. And I've talked to anthropologists about this. Before there was civilization, there were tribes. In tribes, people functioned in a bottom-up way. People cooperated with each other. They shared their resources. They helped each other. This is the way that the tribe lived. It was the way things were. It's the way people assumed things were supposed to be. I got to know a guy who lived with one tribe that's now extinct. It was wiped out as they cleared the forests for logging in Malaysia, the Sonoy. And they would share their dreams every day. They would talk about the dreams that they all had, and then they would make decisions on what the tribe would do. That's how cooperative they were. Then things changed. Farming came along, cities came along, civilization came along, and with it came slavery, control, hierarchy, domination, and a transition from a top-down from a bottom-up way of doing things to a top-down way. And it was a major, major innovation in that it enabled invention. It enabled cities. It enabled specialization of work. But it also enabled slavery and kings and big kinds of power. So it had its pluses and minuses. And basically, civilization is what has taken over the world. And, you know, I talked to a couple of economists, and they basically said that top-down economic approaches were what caused the disaster that we're still in the middle of, that started in 2008. Primarily centralization of policy. It used to be that if you need to borrow money, you go to a local banker, and the local banker would make a decision. And he probably knew you and probably knew the people who were your neighbors because he was a part of a community and a neighborhood. That's changed. It's changed so that now bankers use algorithms that are centrally defined, and they just fill in paper, and it goes into a central repository, and that's the way it works. That's part of globalization, another centralization process that is destroying communities and neighborhoods. All top-down stuff. Now, the answer is relocalization and rebuilding of community. Those are bottom-up things. It's not social media, but it's a part of this pattern that I wanted to try to get you to think about. Things started to turn around. Now, I was really thinking that it was just the web that was doing it, but I started looking for signs that this was happening, and one of the interesting ones was history. it ends up that for a long time, if you were a student of history, if you were a teacher of history, you looked at powerful people. You looked at people with money, and you looked at people who were generals and kings and presidents and what have you. But that started changing about 30 years ago. About 30 years ago, women's studies programs, minority studies programs, studies of the history of workers started to come out. And so that now, a couple of years ago, the New York Times did a piece on how history departments at universities are replacing top-down historians with bottom-up historians. That's a big deal. It's a big deal because history is the way we define who we were, where we came from. So it changes the way you think, which takes me to neurophysiology. Brain works differently now. If you watch a movie from the 20s or 30s, you'll see scenes that last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. The camera just stays on the actors, and that's how long the scene is. If you go to a movie now, especially a movie for teens, let's say, you're talking a fraction of a second. That's huge. It changes the attention span, and that may be one of the reasons that there are literally millions of kids on stimulant medications like Ritalin. Those millions of kids have different brains. And even if they don't take stimulant medication, their brains are different. They grew up having instant messaging so that when they were hanging out in the evening, they weren't watching cartoons, they were instant messaging with 5 or 10 friends simultaneously. They were emailing whole bunches of people. This is all changing the way the brain works. And I've done, on my radio show, I've done interviews with at least a half a dozen different brain scientists, and they all agree. The brain is not doing the same thing it did anymore. So you need to know that. You need to understand how that works in order to be effective in communicating with people, engaging with them, and getting them to work effectively. I have a son, my youngest son is 22. He was in a college class, and he was assigned to do a group project, and one of the people in the group just wasn't showing up. And I said, that's not fair. He said, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. Things have changed. So this is affecting everything. If there are grandparents who are hurt because their their grandchildren don't call them, well, kids don't use the phone like they used to. Kids text, or they use Facebook, and that's the way you need to reach them if they're the people you want to reach. You got to understand that's all changed. Email is not something that people under 30 use that much. So if you're trying to reach people under 30, it's probably not a great idea to do it with email. You probably want to use texting, and there are services that will let you do that, or you want to use Facebook. The people under 30 are not that much using Twitter either. So it's a matter of figuring it out and understanding that it isn't like it used to be. It's not like you grew up. It's just like, I grew up, there was no air conditioning. People would sit out on the stoops and the front steps and hang out, and we had community. Then the air conditioning came along and more channels of TV and color TV, and it changed community. Social networking is about community too. The good thing about it is it allows unique creative communities that are virtual and digital, and that changes things a lot too. In business, you're dead if you don't have a social media presence. Now, that's a two-way thing. I think a lot of people think of social media as putting stuff out there and reaching other people. But it's really a conversation, and it's really a lot of tools to pay attention, to see what's going on. There are these stories out there about companies that got slammed with criticism on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and they went days without responding because they didn't have their ear to the ground digitally. So it's just as important to be paying attention to what's being said as to what you're saying and what you're getting out there. And very often, you depend upon paying attention in order to be able to have a way to communicate effectively with people. So, I wanted to get an idea of goals that you have for working with social media. Could some of you share what you'd like to be able to use it for?
Reach more customers.
Reach more customers.
Celebrating excellence.
What does that mean?
Means what it means is that I would like to use social media as a means to reinforce the value of excellence instead of the value of a complaint.
I'm not sure I understand, but we could have a conversation about it. And actually, that's something that really is what social media is about. Just transitioning from a top-down world where somebody gives a talk and that's it, or somebody puts out an advertisement and that's it, is totally different than having a conversation that's two-way. You say celebrating excellence, and I think I took you a little off guard because I asked, what's that mean? But that's what you need to be able to do when you're working with social media. You need to be inviting and encouraging conversation and dialogue and interaction. If you want to have an effective website, and I believe that you have to have a central place for people to go, probably a website, maybe a blog, you want that to be as interactive and as sticky as possible. You want people to be able to engage with it. If you have a website that looks like a brochure, you're working in the world of the 1990s internet. You need to have a website that will let people get involved. That means comments. That means posting content. Now, what I wanted to mention is that how many of you are running things in your organization? How many of you have superiors that you have to respond to? Right, most of you. A lot of the people who are the top-down people think in top-down ways, and they don't get it. One of the biggest factors in bottom-up approaches is trust. You've got to trust the people you have relationships with. You've got to open yourself up. And that's really hard for some administrators, for some directors to do. But the more you can do that, the more effective you're going to be. I'm involved with writers as well. I'm a publisher. I deal with a lot of writers, but I go to a writers group, and the writers say, well, if I put something out there, won't somebody copy it? And my policy on my website is please do. Give me credit, give me a link back to where it was originally, but please do, because I want it out there. So it's a change. It's a change in the way you relate. Cooperation, interdependence are such important aspects of what you're doing. When you make a decision, how is that something that's going to increase interaction, cooperation, interdependence? How is it going to help other people? Those are the kind of questions that you want to ask. Now, I'm not giving you specifics now yet. Two people gave me goals. Who else? Goals.
To move people. I'm thinking movement, social action.
Okay. You were also raising...
As I said during the introduction, I have this fundraising campaign. I have thousands of, quote, friends, thousands of Twitter followers. Voter ID is a hot issue. So with this campaign, more tweets than you can shake a stick in.
All right, we're going to talk about that after we have the group discussions. I will respond to that, because I've been through a lot of experience with that in terms of fundraising. Op-Ed News is set up as a nonprofit, so we'll talk about it.
I think the same issue, generate revenue. How do you generate revenue using social media?
Okay.
The participation of actual physical locations to get people to come to the events, because Girl Scouts of Hudson County have, where you can buy cookies or what the girls do.
Okay. So, one thing I want to get back to is this idea of Pareto's law, this 80-20 rule. There's a lot of research on how people use the web and how they participate on websites. There's a huge amount on this. And basically, most people will look. They'll go to a site and they'll look. Then some of them might click on something. Maybe a like button. Do you have a like button on your website? That's one of the simplest things to do, especially if you're using a WordPress site. Maybe a rating. The like button is specifically for Facebook, but you can also click on something that you recommended, let's say. That's a way, those are really simple, low effort, minimal commitment ways to participate. The more ways you can get people, the better. Now, the next step is maybe a comment. That's a little bit more time spent, a little bit more thinking, a little more keystrokes. Well, you've got some people who are going to do that. Then the next one could be to submit a content item, a diary, an article. Do you have the ability to let people post those kinds of things? I think it's incredibly valuable to do that in terms of building community, digital community. But that's really what we're talking about here. Social media is a way to connect people together. People who normally wouldn't be connected together. Now, Meetup got famous with the Howard Dean campaign. Joe Trippi used it to bring people together in different areas for the campaign, and it was amazingly effective. It ends up that Meetup became successful with not mainstream stuff, but with oddball stuff, like people who were interested in witchcraft in New York City or something. Odd stuff. It helps people to find each other. So, I guess where I'm going with this is you want to get people to have as many ways to use your resources to create a community. What do you do with that community? How many of you would find that useful to have a community for the people who are involved in your work? How? Somebody say how.
By making them happy.
By making them happy.
Celebrating excellence is making them happy.
Well, I think connecting people makes them happy. When people find other people who they can relate to, that makes them happy. And having spent over 25 years in the world of positive psychology, I consider myself an expert on that. Helping people to find like-minded souls, like-minded thinking, like people with similar goals, does make them happy. And it helps them to feel a sense of community, too. Who else? A bunch of you raised your hands. How would it be useful to have a community for your website, for your goals and operations?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Okay. I think that when you have a mailing list, that's a good thing. You want to have a mailing list. And I'll be talking a little bit about how to get one. Although, like I said, not everybody even reads email. But it's a good thing to have it, and it's a good thing to have that list. But if you think about it, wouldn't it be even better if all those people were talking to each other and valuing your organization because your organization was creating the medium and the forum where they could have that conversation? That's a value. It does something interesting. It ties to people's hearts. It's not just brain stuff. One of my favorite quotes from Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. is, "Sometimes the head steals the heart's best blood." And when you create community, you're really enabling people to connect together in a way that ties their hearts together. That's not a digital thing, really, but how much of the web is really about that? If you look at what's posted on Facebook, there's an awful lot of stuff that's about feelings. And so, if you can do that, it doesn't. If you got a nonprofit that you're trying to make a difference in some way, underneath that is caring. Underneath that is passion. Now that doesn't easily show up when you're talking about tweets or when you're talking about likes on Facebook. But underneath it, in between the lines, that's really big stuff. And you want to enable that to happen. So it does. If you provide the tools for people, they will come and they will do it. I really believe that commenting is one of the most important things you can have somewhere on a website.
Excuse me, Rob, I don't want to interrupt, but a comment that I want to intervene with is very important, that we'd have freshly baked cookies, which have just been delivered by Jason from Just Cookies, who has a new business that's in this building.
What kind of cookies, Jason?
Got peanut butter, oatmeal raisin, and my favorite, cranberry apple walnut.
All right. Save me a cranberry apple walnut.
I apologize for the fact that it came late. I asked Jason to do it at the last minute. But because they're warm and stuff, I invite people to go up and grab a piece of cookie.
All right, we'll take a 2-minute break.
A cookie break.
No. And we're sitting on the right side there.
I know you say you have to trust your audience, but oh my goodness.
Okay, so I want to talk about platform. A platform is, if you're an author or a consultant, a platform is kind of your profile, that all ways that you are out there in the world. My platform, I've got a website, I have a radio show, and I write for the Huffington Post as well. Your organization will probably have a website. It's probably got a mailing list. I also have a mailing list. I have about 28,000 daily newsletter subscribers. A platform, if you're a writer, is something you're going to sell to editors who you're trying to sell to. A platform, if you're a nonprofit, is all the ways that you can connect with the people who you want to be connecting with. So I'm a firm believer that you want to have a website. It is not enough to have a Facebook page or a Twitter account. You want to have a blog or a website that is the central place where all your stuff goes. Then you can get involved with Facebook and Twitter and what have you. But you want to have that central place. And you want it to be sticky, and you want it to be something that people can interact with. And there are a lot of different ways that people can interact. So I went through this kind of hierarchy, a list of different levels of interaction. And as you get down to the most interactive one, which is posting full content, you're down to just probably anywhere, most of the time less than 20%, probably less than 10%. I mean, we have maybe 1,500 people who post articles to our site in a year, and we have 60,000 members. So it's a small percent. So you got to have a website. Yeah.
What do you mean by sticky?
Sticky, I mentioned, there's a brochure type of website that just has a couple pages of information. Somebody's going to go to that, and they're not going to come back. If you have a website that's dynamic, then it's going to motivate people to come back. How do you get a dynamic website? I think the answer is a couple things. Go ahead, you got a question?
No, it's a question, but continue with.
Okay, how do you get a dynamic website? Content is the biggest thing. New content. If you have a lot of new content, people are going to find you. If you have a lot of new content, then your regular people you have relationships with are going to keep looking to see what's going on. If you have a lot of content, then you can refer to it in Facebook and Twitter and emails and text messaging and all the ways that bring people back to the website. Commenting is another way. Discussion forums are another way. Discussion forums can be great because that's a way to build community, but they also usually, almost always, need moderation, and that means somebody to do that job. Same thing with content. How do you get content? I can hear the thinking going on. We don't have extra people to write content. No, you don't do that. You have people who are relationship partners. You have people who are beneficiaries of the things that you do. I'll bet you a lot of you have thousands of them. Go to them. Invite them to share their ideas, their experiences. This is a gift. When I did my work with positive psychology, I would talk about positive experiences and heartwarming experiences, and I would invite people to share theirs. And I know, because I've done this a lot, that when somebody puts up their hand and tells about a heartwarming or a positive experience that they've had, it feels great. Not good, great. And a lot of times it gives people chills, the person telling it and a lot of the people listening to it. But very often I would do a workshop with 100 people and 3 or 4 would raise their hands, and everybody else were reluctant to. They were too shy or what have you. But those who did, they loved it. And I'm telling you about this because if you give people an opportunity to share their ideas, their experience, their appreciation, they'll do it. And it'll feel great. And you're giving them a gift. It's not like you need to pay them. I worked with one psychologist. He does a training in an approach to stress management, and he teaches and certifies people in how to do it. They get a certificate, and he's got at least 100 people who have been through this training. And I said to him, he should be doing a newsletter. And he goes, well, I don't have the content, I don't have the time, and I don't feel like writing it. I said, great, don't. Get your 100 people and require it of them. Require that if they want to continue to be certified, they have to write an article every 2 years. And then you'll have one a week. It's out there. People want to do this stuff. And that's something that is just, it seems really daunting, but it's not. It's not that hard to do. So get content. If you want to have commenting on your website, there are tools that are available, widgets that let you do it, that can be added to your website relatively easily. So that's nothing that, you don't have to hire a programmer to design the software for that. You just need to have a programmer add the tools. So keep that in mind. It makes it really easy. I wanted to build a mailing list. I wanted to have people have a sense of connection to the website. So I required that for them to do certain things, they would have to sign up. first thing I did was printer friendly. If you want to look at an article with one page that is easily printable, you need to sign up as a member. No charge, but you need to sign up. I want to get your name. I want to capture your name. Preferably so that you'll be on the mailing list, so that I can send you stuff regularly. It quadrupled my sign-ups on a daily basis, having just that. Then I got rid of email addresses for people who wrote articles.
Wait a minute, having just what? Having a mailing list?
The printer-friendly, letting people print out things printer-friendly.
Oh, okay.
Looking at it as a single-page view. Yeah, you can do it. You just got to sign up. Simple sign-up. Now our sign-up is just, use Facebook or Twitter. It used to be a little bit more complex, and over the years, I've always tried to work with my programmer, my coder, to cut down on keystrokes. The simpler, the better. The less pages, the better. So, okay, so we got the one. Then there was, you want to contact one of the writers? I'm not going to let the writer put his email or her email on his article. Our software deletes the email. Why? You need to sign up as a member and then use our member messaging system, just like with Facebook. Right? So, again, it can be a little bit of a bother to the writer. I've had one writer who says, hey, everybody else contacts me. Well, they're going to do it through the messaging system.
The writer has his own website. Do you?
Great. They can have in their bio a link to their website. That's a clickable link. Absolutely, because that's one of the benefits that writers get by posting content on other places. A lot of my writers, they have their own site. They post their writing first on their site, and then they post it on our site with a link back to their site, either in the bio or in the article. That's fine. That's great. But, the idea is use incentives to get people to sign up and become members. So you can, because, if they come and visit, it's nice, but you don't know who they are. So it's really important that you want to try to capture that information. Now, the like button on Facebook does give you that. If you have a like button on your front page, it takes you to a Facebook page for your organization, and they click the like button, then you have their information through Facebook. So that's a good thing. You should use that. Same thing, get them to follow you on Twitter. That is not quite as good because it's not as easy to get that. But you can see your followers with Twitter. It's easier using Facebook to communicate with all those people, though. So I would pick Facebook over Twitter. Facebook is but they all take work, though. You can't just be passive. Now, some of the other things you can share. One of the first things we added on our site was an email tool that let people email their friends information about a given page or an article or a diary or what have you. You want to have that on the pages that you want people to be able to share. When somebody does that, they're asked if they want to become a subscriber to the newsletter. When somebody sends information, they're asked, would you like to support our site and make a donation? If somebody posts a comment, they're asked, would you like to support our site and make a donation? It used to be, back in the early years, I would once a month, once every 2 months, do an ask for a donation. Then I start putting these automatic ones in, and it's when somebody's using the site, getting benefit from it, there's an automatic pop-up as part of the interaction with them that says, will you make a donation to support the site, to support the organization? Make it automatic. Now, I do send out requests for donations pretty regularly, and some people complain about it. Screw them. If they don't like that this is a nonprofit organization that needs donations, screw them. And there are so few of them. And if they just want to unsubscribe because I include a request for donations, too bad. Grow up. the other side of it is putting these automatic ones in there. Now, so it's another reason for you to have interaction. It's another reason for you to have that stickiness. It's another reason for you to have the multiple ways that people can connect with repeatedly with the website, if you have those in there. And so I'm asking people to either make a donation, to join the site, to share it with other people. We have a new system where we have a paid membership that lets them have extra benefits on the website, like they can see the counts for each of the content items, how many views there were, how many comments there were, things like that. Small little things, but they add up, and it helps our bottom line. So let's see. There's reputation. When somebody posts a comment, it shows how many comments they've posted. It shows, I forget what else, how many likes for the comments that they've had. We've been for over a year tracking other things, though, too. Reputation is going to be a much bigger thing, I think, on the web. And it measures how much they've done for the website, from donations to clicking on Facebook likes and tweeting, commenting, liking comments, or clicking on rating articles. Any participation is rewarded with points. And ultimately, we're going to be showing that. I would say that by the end of the year, we'll have that up and running. I think it's a big deal, because you want to reward people. You want to reward people for all these little details. And it amazes me. My most active volunteer, she told me the other day that her kids wanted to take her and her husband to Las Vegas, and she said, no, I've got to stay home and work on op-ed news. And she told me she puts in 10 to 12 hours a day. She's retired, and it's amazing, just amazing how much she does, how much she cares, and you want to find ways to let people do that for you. One of the things we did recently was add a volunteer button. It's amazing. I can't keep up with them. I cannot keep up with all the volunteers. I literally can't. And I can be really picky. I want somebody who has been a member of the site over 6 months, preferably over a year, because I want to trust them. I want to be sure that they're going to be reliable and they're going to stick around. And if I'm going to put time into them, good. Although I'm working, I haven't done enough of it yet, I'm working on coming up with YouTube videos that are tutorials. There's so much of that out there. But you can do it for your work, too. You can create YouTube. How many of you have any YouTube connected to what you do? Decent number. Good. Yeah, YouTube is such a valuable tool. And YouTube is really a big deal for search. That's a little further down. I'm going to get into that. I do newsletters. It's disappointing for me how many people actually open them. I'm using Solzalab.com as the site that I work with. There are other ones. Solzalab does a lot of work with nonprofits. Any of you use it? Yeah, I found them to be very good, but there are other ones as well. Any other services that you use for doing mailings or anything like that?
Constant Contact?
Constant Contact is one of the other major ones, yeah.
MailChimp.
Okay.
The SMTP.
So there are different ones out there. Convio, yeah. Yeah, and they're really handy. They're great tools that, again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And they're nominally costs and worth the investment, I feel. And newsletters are a way to keep people coming back to the website. But if you're going to do a newsletter, I recommend that you have mostly links, some conversation and then links that take people back to the website. You want to always bring people back to the website. You're doing something on Facebook, get people back to the website. You do something on Twitter, get them back to the website. I tweeted something today, and I almost tweeted it without a link. And I went back and I dug up an old link. Ann Romney said, "I don't consider myself wealthy." what's it, worth $200 million. So I've been writing a series of articles on the idea of debillionairizing America, making it illegal to have that much money and taking it away if they do. So I went back and I said, I can't tweet without a link. So it was a May article from last year, and I put a link to that in there. You want to bring people back. It's so important. All right. So, story. Story is a really big deal. I really got involved in story because I got interested in a guy who was teaching screenwriting, and he came up with this concept of story structure, that there's kind of a science to story, and there are ways to make stories better. And I discovered the story is one of the biggest businesses in the world. If you look, it's not just movies, it's not just novels, it's not just television or magazines or newspapers. It's politics, it's religion, it's marketing, and believe me, it's social media. So when you're using social media, you want to tease people with your messages, and you want to have at the other end of the link that should always be there a story. If you just give them dry information, it's not nearly as powerful or as effective as a story. Story does something that is bottom up. What story does is it ties together the heart, the head, the community, the values, all those elements. And this is not digital media stuff, but it's so basic. This goes back to the tribal. This goes back to hunters making hand signals around the fire. Story has been around since before humans were humans, and the human brain evolved to process stories. So you don't want to just give a link that gives statistics. You want to tell a story. I was at this writers group a week ago, and one of the new attendees was talking about how she's writing a children's novel, and she was doing something pretty cool. She was having a focus group of 10 to 12-year-olds. She was going to have them look at it and get feedback. I hadn't heard of people doing that before. I said, you should submit that as a proposal to Writer's Digest. And I had some experience with it. I'd written a cover article for Writer's Digest. I didn't know it was going to be a cover article, but it turned out to be one. And so she did it. And Writer's Digest wants the story. But she started off with a quote, a kind of dry quote about feedback groups for writers. I said, what you want to do is you want to start out with a story. Because story sucks people in. Story touches more parts of people. And so you want to work with stories. I know this is not what clicks to do for Facebook or whatever, but I'm telling you, if you just look at Facebook as a technology, it's not going to be as effective as you understand it through the perspective of how to deal with people. All right, so social media and web tools, which is what Seth is saying. This is what they really want.
Yeah, I'm looking at the clock as well, and I think we can cover, highlight some of the tools and stuff, then we can do some work in the small groups and get back to that.
All right, I'm almost done. So I want to emphasize that it's out and in. I think a lot of people think of social media as putting stuff out there. How do I get customers? How do I reach people? And the way you reach people in very important sense is to pay attention and to listen and to use the tools and technology to see what people are saying. And so that means when you follow people on Twitter, you don't follow when you go to Twitter, you don't just go there to get followers. You follow people who are involved in the conversation. You follow people who have lots of followers, and then you get in a conversation with them, and if you get lucky and they respond to you, it goes out to all their followers. So even if you only have 100 followers, if you engage in a conversation with somebody who has 10,000 or 100,000 followers, then they get to see you. They get to see what you're talking about. They hopefully will get to see the link that gets retweeted by the person with 10,000 followers. Another thing about Twitter. Twitter, if you only have 100 people following you, doesn't mean that you can't have a big voice. Twitter people use tools that track hashtags and keywords. So you want to pay attention to that. You want to pay attention to the keywords and the hashtags that you use. The hashtag is basically just a keyword with the pound sign in front of it. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I just go with the words. But people follow them. People set up certain software, like TweetDeck. I use TweetDeck, and it lets you track keywords and hashtags. So if you have 100 followers, but you're talking about a topic that is hot, let's say Occupy Wall Street, pound sign OWS, there may be 100,000 or more people following that hashtag. You can reach them. That's huge. So don't post without using hashtags or at least thinking about the keywords that are in your tweets. Facebook, if you have content on your website, you want to share it or like it on your Facebook page. And you want to get people to like your Facebook page because when you do that, then they'll get that on their timelines. LinkedIn is another one that you want to have a connection with because a lot of people are using it. They also have a timeline, and you want to be able to tie in with that. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are the three biggest ones, really. I think blogging is a great thing to do. I think that even if you have an institutional website, you can have a blog section to it. So you can have a blog section, you can have a content section, you can have a discussion board section. These are all ways to get people to keep coming back to your website. Now, my system is set up so that if somebody comments, they get notified if it's their article. If somebody comments who you are a fan of, who you're interested in, who you like their stuff, you get notified that they commented. If somebody responds to your comment, you get an email. And there are ways that they can control and modify how frequent that is so they don't get overwhelmed with the stuff. But it's a way to keep people connected to the website. Same thing could be for discussion boards as well. We don't have a discussion board. We're trying to get people to do it on the comments, and we've looked into discussion boards. We had one at one point. It got hacked. We've had some challenges with hackers and some nasty stuff happening, and we've had to invest a lot of time and energy in security for the site. But blogging is a great thing. And again, it takes time. So it may be that you want to get a half a dozen people on your team to all be involved in blogging. So the blog consists of a group of people, not just one person. If you can do it by yourself, great, but it doesn't have to be that way.
How about a direct Facebook feed on your page, on your website?
That can work. Twitter feeds can work too. Those are good things. Those are little widgets that are not that hard to get put on, especially if you've got a webmaster or a web consultant helping you. All that interactivity is a big deal, and it can add to ways that people look at your site. It adds to the stickiness of the site. So, okay, YouTube. Google owns YouTube. YouTube is one of the biggest hits that come up when you do searches. So you want to have some YouTube stuff there. Even if it's just 2 minutes. Even if it's just, hi, I do this at this website, and we'd really like to have you come and visit us. Doesn't have to be a big thing, doesn't have to be a long thing, but YouTube is one of the main ways that people get hits, and then you want to make it really easy for them to go to the website. And you want to put it in the video, and you want to put it in the description. I was covering a protest in Washington last October. It was the first weekend that Occupy Washington, D.C. was started, and I was there for like 4 days to cover it, and there was a protest at the National Air and Space Museum. And a agent provocateur who worked for a right-wing magazine went and disobeyed the guards and ran past them, created some havoc, and the guards freaked out, and they started shooting pepper spray. And I caught it with my phone camera. I put it up on YouTube, and I put it up. The title of it was Op-Ed News Coverage of Pepper Spray at National Air and Space Museum. So I was very conscious that I was doing stuff that would get it links back to my site. Ended up, NBC, ABC, Fox, and a couple other TV organizations picked it up. So it got they used it, and in addition to that, it got about 60,000 page views. You never know how this stuff can go. Google search. You want to do search engine optimization. That's a multi-billion-dollar business now. Search engine optimization, SEO. You got to be careful with it. You can't game the system. You can't use unreasonable frequency of words. The best thing to do is just have lots of new content. Ideally, you want to get categorized as a Google News site. That gets you picked up by Google better. So let me talk a little bit about Google News. How many of you use Google News? Not too many. All right. I'm a firm believer that you want to really know. You really want to get a feel for Google News because Google News has Google Alerts. And Google Alerts are basically something that you subscribe to. My name is Rob Kall. I have a Google Alert for Rob Kall. My website's Op-Ed News. I have a Google Alert for Op-Ed News. I want to see what Karl Rove is doing. I have a Google Alert for Karl Rove. You have a constituency that you're helping. In addition to the name of your organization and your name, you want to have Google Alerts for that constituency. You have an issue that you care about, some kind of a justice thing that you're doing, you want to have a Google Alert for that. I would consider that if you're not using Google Alerts and you're doing social media, you're engaging in malpractice. It is such a powerful tool. It lets you see what the conversation is. Twitter does the same thing. It's the way you put your ear to the ground digitally. Google Alerts and Twitter are huge. Google Alerts let you select whether you want news or news and blogs or everything. I would go with everything. And you can specify whether you want it as it comes out or daily. I go with daily. I don't want to get. I mean, I already get so much email. It's brutal. But the interesting thing about Google Alerts is anybody who is in a position of power and influence, who you want to reach, is probably going to have somebody working for them who's got Google Alerts coming to them. So, if you write content that puts their name, or the committee they're on, if it's a member of Congress, let's say, or something they care about, like the X district, congressional district, it'll come back to either them or their employee. And you're getting into their mailbox, something that they asked for. It's incredibly powerful, and you just should do it. All right, so that's my basics for social media. There are others. Somebody mentioned Foursquared earlier. Pinterest is really, really hot all of a sudden. I'm finding that my daughter is getting married in 2 months. She got onto Pinterest last year for all kinds of. Pinterest lets you create a digital pin for an image from other sites on the Pinterest site. So she used it for wedding plans, table settings, dresses, things like that. She'd go to a site and see a nice dress, and she would pin it with Pinterest. Or she would look at a design for her dining room, and she would pin the design or the flowers or whatever. And so she got me into it really early. I just, she said, she got me to join, and I don't have anything that I pinned, frankly, but all of a sudden it's insanely hot. And so all of the people I follow on Twitter are finding me there. I mean, I'm talking about the most famous 50,000, 100,000, million name people, and they're following me because I have a Pinterest account. It's kind of funny, but it's hot. And if you can actually go to sign up for it and get pictures, it'll put you in an interesting position. I don't have experience with Foursquare. I played around with it a little bit, but it didn't really grab me. And if anybody wants to talk about how it's valuable, that would be interesting. The last thing I have on my list is integration. Social media, it does not stand alone. It's not like print advertising, TV, radio, all those things have disappeared. Business cards. And you want to integrate what you're doing with all of those as well and think about how you can use them all together. That's about it. So, time to go to the group.
Thank you, Rob. We've covered a lot of ground. We'll come back to Rob. What I want to do right now is take the opportunity for people to be able to share a little bit more among themselves in a smaller group and have the opportunity to really, it's easier to share in a smaller group often than it is in a larger group. So actually, I think what would probably be easiest is really just to break into 3 groups. We don't have to. There'll be about 8 or 10 people each, and we can do it by the thirds of the row. And what I'd like people to do, we'll go until 8:15, and I'd like people to take turns. Take your chairs and turn around. But what I'd like to do is have people take turns sharing how they've used some of these tools or concepts or strategies that Rob has mentioned, or other ones that you think that are just as relevant. How you've used them, either successfully or not, or how you're thinking about using them. And then as you're going through that, think about specific questions that you might want to ask as we come back into the fuller group to take the wisdom both of Rob and of the crowd here. But what I'd like to ask people to do is to circle around in their group, and then, as I said, take turns and try and share how you've used these things, how you think you're going to use them, ideas that you have about how they might be successful or not successful. And I think if everyone takes just a minute or two each to do that, then that'll take us to 8:15, and we'll come back into the whole group.
One other thing that I was hoping was that you could identify, each of you identify a website that could use some help. And then I can kind of
bring up the websites and
critique some of the websites and go over ways that they could be improved.
Oh, come on, you need to get a little closer than that.
Thanks.
Oh, no, it's social networking and networking, and so you
I love networking and I love social media.
Questions. Well, I was actually going to ask you. Oh yeah! Oh my goodness! Yes, I love to see that. So I'll come grab your car. I've had a long day, so when you get going, I got a lot of great ideas though.
What's my experience? You spent a lot of time on Facebook.
Oh, I think yeah, I think
like
say certain things. So I just wanted to make sure.
all of this is the nature of it.
Foursquare, Girl Scouts,
So you have to add
the second, whatever it is.
the fact that I'm using thought some good.
I'm just.
And I do
The one that they had on Foursquare where they were nonprofits can use it. There was one here.
There are many others.
And that way they can have a house.
and I said, why would you?
I think that
a campaign when you live in these places.
Like you're saying, we're not translating into.
Right, because
Now, are you guys calling something another company? Like, I don't know what they do. They tweet.
Have been around.
I don't know. There's a.
You mean to know where they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. You drive around and you sign up, I guess.
One of the things we want to do, a couple of ideas, everybody familiar with national.com? Social national for specifically for nonprofits. Those are very different on the various media. And I think you're going to find a lot of it's going to be a great resource.
Keep your eyes open. I don't know. Just thinking about the ads on TV or the print ads going in town.
Reach out to the councils. You can just have them do it just by taking out the link directly. But you can also reach out to your person who's councils and find out the difference. And you may want to encourage, I don't know how many different people there are out there. Go on to Google Plus and create a hangout.
I mean, the one thing you said was,
oh, this country technically should.
no, that's not the story. No, that's statistics. 5 million people is a statistic. That's how many stories.
But again, I got because I have a mailing list.
You know, in other areas, you can also do one for within your region. But I was thinking more about getting a
Highlight one of those people that is on your list. Highlight one of those people. One person that advises somebody or advises it changing your life to have very uphill. That is I have that connected my son, somebody new to that. It's like you have to that's learning the possibility of the subjects.
I like how not that it sounds good, but it is like supposed to be. Because the comment out there, because it's not right, right? I mean, because the comment actually, and they know how to fix them.
Interactions going on with somebody.
I see a break consistency. Move on. Because it is going to be all of the it's part of the campaign.
But I think that's not clear.
But you're saying a lot of general stuff as part of the campaign. If you were saying to me, I have, you're the council, but
have friends about what we did in the last $100 we had. We drove 15 people who have been disenfranchised up to meet with their legislative woman or man. Now, that's what he's talking about. If you say to me, that's what I had on there, how this money in individual hands and made a difference, then we're with you, but you're not answering. You're saying campaign, millions.
No, it's cool campaign.
No, but everybody's telling you.
But if you go,
everybody's telling you some humanizing dollars, and your answers don't give us humanizing examples.
That's what's supposed to start some good campaign. It begins with a video that they're actually using to train the videos that and it gives the issue. It tells how the money and how
No, I'm sorry. Yeah. You give it a name. That's all I ask.
Can we put it up? Can we put it up?
Oh, here, right, yeah. It's easier to do all
But it's not the focused conversation. Yeah, how it's happening. So part of what friend of mine had Twitter followers, Facebook followers, numbers. It's just people's purposes to win.
So I'm going to Instagram.
I'll give you money. I don't have what they do was he started out figuring that out. So what's happening is there's and now everybody in that rabbi is congregation. And that's happening for 28 days in a month. I think that sometimes we so it's a beautiful outreach tool that several years so it's much of a context available. I think well, he's a real everybody that comments has to be it's the permission of what they have. The young people was actually so much that's the one women, we have little young girls that didn't have I don't even go to this program. Yeah, I mean, it's the older Girl Scouts, so they're actually thinking somehow which is women, 5,000 months to prepare a compassion. No, but how can the money is getting this right? She has to be able to that's something that
thank you very much.
I do WordPress, and we more specifically, I run a most common person. It gives you the option to direct and respecting people
and or potential sponsors for different. That's fine. They can't figure out how to say it.
They want and that's the option that besides you probably this is part
What's your grade?
So, having always said probably the one that's most relevant to the conversation is a project called Computer Startup. The idea, it's always been about people always got certification. So the thing that we built for them is kind of like a copy of Facebook. It's sort of extended structure. Yeah. You are the just like a bunch of one of those physics sort of formulas, all these areas are discussed. And part of the motivation for Facebook is they are and a lot of teachers were a lot of teachers writing about this thing. Because everybody it's been pretty successful at that. But now they're kind of evolving.
A 3-minute warning. We'll have 3 more minutes and we'll get back together.
But now there's to think, well, in the years since we started this, now 99% of people using it on Facebook too. And it doesn't matter so much that it's friends' houses there, their houses. So they're trying to evolve into more of an engine. They're ideas and getting support. Some sort of program which you are not sure if they models, but it's becoming more of this sort of idea engine and finding funding support it all. So trying to figure out, how much using Facebook for this kind of stuff, and how much do we have to build ourselves? Because just like going to Facebook and doing it all on the site, it's not going to ask us more. There's no reason. There are social networks around Facebook. Maybe like let's say.
Anything that's on your
I would say you were trying to maximize. That's the whole issue to think about. Members to members or to enroll.
Create images, disenfranchise.
I don't think that's a concern because these are business ideas. Assuming they can individuals that's just the idea. Once they get to do it. So another neighborhood, that's actually one of the things to think about is Facebook is hopefully, I don't know, the idea that the need to cross-pollinate, bring people out of this character. I don't know, it's a really big problem.
I'm going to start.
It's frustrating because it's such a big sort of
and so here
nowhere to go to get that. But it's actually more like it's easier to distribute it's hard for me now.
You said you have a personal relationship.
So the way that I think when I say personal, I mean that I'm not actually involved in this personally.
But that's one of the challenges I think.
I think it probably does.
Try and wrap up your conversations. We'll be starting back in a minute.
But I'm also waiting for my
I don't have anything that's impressive.
free. You can't give us free.
All right, we're going to get back now because I got a train to catch, so we got to get coming back here.
No, I'm saying so you're conduct as a person instead of a company.
Oh, cool.
You have to build some mechanism give you that time.
Anybody, let's get a website. Did anybody decide on a website to look at?
Okay. Oh.
No, mine's not a website.
Oh, I thought you had a website.
No, it is. It's on a website, but it's not part of it. So
Okay, you want to share your website, Faye?
Your
it's not
website.
my website. It's for the campaign.
Oh, that's fine. The website.
I don't even know the name of it.
Your website of interest. Why don't you bring it up? Now, Faye is our designated typist. So if we do some other websites, she'll do it on our behalf. No, wait, start over.
I can't see. I'm sorry. Okay. Start some. Hold on.
As Rob said, he's going to have to leave in a little bit. We'll take about 20 minutes at the most.
Is that right?
No.
What am I doing wrong?
You got your fingers a little bit off.
You won't believe this. I am such a fast typist, but now. Okay.
Bingo.
Okay. This is a platform like Kickstarter is Kickstarter for social goods. Social Freedom Project.
Right, so, yeah, where we?
I've never not been signed in. I'm sorry, this is
So the experience is like the
But
rest.
you know what? It's not a bad thing not to be signed in, because let's take a look at it the way the user works with it. It's a good thing to do that periodically.
You know what? Part of the problem is folks don't want to register.
Spelled wrong. Freedom is spelled wrong.
What's wrong with me?
Freedom was
Costco.
Funky keyboard.
This is great, isn't it?
Back up one project.
I can't. It's voter ID Act.
So what's the goal of this?
It's.
What do you want this to do for you? Your
Look at it.
What do you want to do?
But what do you want this to do? So you got a YouTube video there. That's good.
Right. And so there's a campaign overview, and it just gives a little bit of background information.
But wait.
Yes.
Answer my question, okay? What do you want this to do for your project?
What do I want this platform campaign? It's to raise $25,000 to fund development of the Cost of Freedom app, which are the location-based web apps to help voters, provide voters with information on how to apply for
So your primary goal is to raise money.
That's the only goal for this campaign.
Why would somebody donate?
Because anyone who is concerned about fighting voter suppression, about protecting the right to vote, that's why I begin with the
Right, so start at the top again. Let's see what's at the very top.
It starts with the video with me explaining.
All right. So I would say that the first thing you want to do is have it at go all the way to the top. All the way above when
That is the top.
No, it's not.
Where is it now?
Is it Internet
All
Explorer?
right. So while you're getting it back,
Steph, I'm sorry. Where is
what you want to look at is what's above the fold. What's above the fold is when you pop it on the screen, whatever you can see without scrolling. What's above the fold is what's most important, because that's when you're going to be able to grab the person, okay? What I don't see there is why they should care about this. You have the title of it. Now, the title of it's important, but right up front, at the beginning, you want to grab the person in as many ways as you can. That means an image and words that are going to affect them, that are going to touch their hearts or piss them off. But you want to have something there. Like, So we'll get back to it.
It's a
I didn't see that.
template. I don't have any control over that. That's finding out what to come because I don't have any control over what's on the site. This is their template.
All right, so, well, I don't know that I agree with you there. So the Cost of Freedom Project and the Cost of Freedom voter, how much text do you have there? No, don't scroll down. You just scroll. I want you to keep it just like that, okay? So they're taking up a lot of your real estate on that page because it's their website. So you've got this line here to say a message, and I guess they probably asked you what's the name of your project, and then you've got campaigns here.
That's the campaign, right.
I would consider if this is where you're going to raise your money, changing the name of the campaign.
Okay, I could do that.
Because you've already got it here. You've got all this the same. I would suggest that what you do is say something that addresses the people of what they care about. And use that as a message space, because it's really what you got.
Okay.
Then, do you have more than one line, or is it just one line?
It's characters. I don't remember, but I can do like fight voter suppression. I can change that.
If you care about voter suppression, I don't know. I mean, the words you got to come up with. But
if you don't act now, we'll lose the right to vote. Click here to act now.
Right.
It has to be a pain point. What is the suffering, not the benefit?
Okay. I can do that.
Here.
Okay.
You'll lose.
And then I don't have any control. That's the video. They require that you produce a video. 2 minute video.
How long is the video?
2 minutes.
2 minutes? You might want to start one that has a sign, that there's text that says something so they can see a message in that big space there. This is all dead space. You might want to put a sign there.
For me, the little toolbar at the top, I'm sorry, just came back. The money bar up there is like a dangling sentence or something, an orphan on a printed page.
I think
it doesn't make sense there.
It's part of the website. It's the way they do it. I don't think you have any control.
I don't have any control. Okay.
Now, but this is something important down. This is where you're counting your numbers. This is what you're saying. You got all these people, and you're not getting responses. Yeah.
I would make. Can you change the pledge amount?
Not now.
Okay. I would make it $2,000 if you could.
I can't do it now.
Because if it's close, they'll be more prompted to do it. With only 19 days left.
Right.
I'm not going to donate $10 knowing that you're not going to make the 10 grand. But if I know it's you're at the midnight hour all the time, then I'm going to do it.
All right. Do you have a website?
You have a blog down?
Where is it? Is there a link to it on here?
No.
Why not? Because it's clearly you can make a link. And I would here you got the overview. I would basically say something like, if you care about voter suppression, if you're concerned that minorities and elderly are not going to be able to vote with this new aggressive attack on voting rights, we need you to donate, because this is going to help people all over America.
And then launch it.
And then say, go to our website, commit here, and then go to our website. Have a link to the website. If it's your blog, use the blog. If you have a website, have a website. It's not hard to do a WordPress site, but have a link, because this is not your place. This is not your space. You don't have control of it, as you've already said. Have a place where you can have that. Have a place where you can build that community. You got all these people.
Look at that. I haven't even seen those numbers because it upsets me.
But they're only bringing them back here. It's not going back to your place. This is helping this website. It's helping you a little, but if you have, and you can do just a regular link to your Facebook page. You could, but I wouldn't. It's always back to your site. Or do both. Have a like for a Facebook page, because at least if you have a Facebook page, then you can do things addressing all the people who have liked it. By the way, I'm going to have to leave in about 10 minutes. My email is rob@opednews.com. If you happen to hear from me, actually, I would like to hear from you if you want to give me some feedback about how useful this was or what your response to it was.
I'm
we can look at another website.
I'm going to submit a post tonight on women voters and voter ID. that vote early.
Oh yeah, and op-ed news is we love to see content from folks like you. If you've got an issue or a cause, you want to write about it, we'd like to publish it. Any other websites? Who has a website that they'd like some feedback?
I promise to get there tonight.
Okay, what's yours?
You notice my half.
Yeah.
But
Don't be afraid.
It's www.icfamwell. ICFAM, F-A-M, well, WELL.org. Okay. We actually just reconstructed.
All right, so what's your goal?
Well, the mission is right there.
Yeah, talk to
the goal,
me.
okay,
Point.
we provide education, resource development, and mentorship to practitioners.
That's what you do. What's your goal?
What is our goal?
Yeah, what do you want the website to do?
Oh, to educate people about our mission, and because we provide trainings, we provide opportunities for people to learn this work and provide the services in these underserved communities. So we focus on the Latino communities across the Americas. So our project actually started in Latin America, and we now, as I said before in the introduction, we are now locally based as well, training folks who are bilingual that serve the undocumented, uninsured Latino community.
Your goal is family wellness?
Family wellness, yes. We use models we're family therapists and clinical
But wait,
workers.
that's your service.
Okay.
The question is, again, what do you want? What's the number one thing you want this website to do for your organization?
We want to there are a few things. We first of all want to enlighten people about the needs of this community.
Where's that on the right here?
I mean, it's all in the content of the website.
Well, but that's not an answer. Come on.
Okay.
Where is that? You just said you want to enlighten people about the needs of the community that you serve, right? Where is that in there? Is it?
Well, it's not in what you're looking at. I mean, in
That's
the
where
mission,
people show up.
In the mission, it says it.
I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to criticize you at all. I'm trying to let you think this through, how somebody coming to visit the website gets to the place you want them to get to. So if you want them to understand the community served, you've got this drop-down menu somewhere, either among that navigation bar there, or among one of the links in that navigation bar. It should say who we serve. It's really simple, but it's not there. What else do you want to do?
Well, you're saying it's not there, but maybe what you're saying is it's not there, like right in your face.
It's not in their face, which is where you want it. Right? I mean,
well, there are a lot of things we would want to put in people's faces, but there's not enough room for everything to be right in somebody's face.
There is. If it's the most important thing, it's the first thing you brought up, why wouldn't it be there? Now, you may have a webmaster who says this isn't the way it's done. You just say, that's the way I want it. Do it. It's that simple, really. All the time, I have this stuff with my webmaster. It's like, no, you don't do that. That's not the way it's done. I go, that's what I want. That's what you're going to do. Period. Now, what you've got, our history, our missions, our accomplishments, our ongoing works, that's normal. That's customary. It's the way it's generally done. But if your most important thing is letting people know who you serve, what their needs are, that should be there. I'm just saying. Somewhere, it should be right there.
It is in the website. It's just not...
my theory... No more clicks than absolutely necessary. So you probably have it in your mission. But do I want to read through a whole mission? Or do I want...
I think it's actually in the slider, though, on the home page. If you go back to the home page, I think what she's saying is that, if you read, that black box,
the carousel,
it's...
Learn more?
Yeah.
Scroll down.
But you would no. I don't want you to scroll down. If it's the most important thing,
but that's right there, and then in that black box.
I hate Flash. Flash just takes up time and all. It's pretty, it's cool looking, but above the fold, the three most important things you want this website to do should be really easy to reach. Right? I mean, does that make sense?
Yes.
And what is this picture about? You've got a bunch of pictures there. What are they saying? Scroll up above the fold, please. They're really beautiful pictures. I just don't know what they mean. Is there now this is for the Spanish community?
Yes.
Is there a Spanish language version of it?
We just reformatted this about a month ago, so we are translating. This is for English-speaking people.
Oh, just for English? Okay. So Spanish have a totally different website?
No, we have the materials that we're going to be posting on the website will be in English and Spanish.
English and Spanish. So maybe there should be a button right up at the top, probably towards the right-hand side, that has Espanol.
There will be.
Yeah.
This is about, if there was an older site that you would have really had a field day with.
Okay. Look, I'm only just trying to look at it as with new eyes. So what else do you want it to do? What do you want this website to accomplish? If it hits a home run, what does it do for you? Or for your clients?
Well, I don't need this, do it.
Can people? Okay.
It's for the.
All right. What do we want it to do? We, like I said before, learn about our organization. We want to attract people to the information that we will be posting on it, because it is an information site. So, for instance, we have materials that we are letting community groups have access to. We will be having links. So this is all part of the new site. So drawing people to it where they can get free articles, like you were saying before, we're using the concept of Creative Commons. And so that, also there's a donate now button on there. There's a feature on there, which is always nice. We probably should have a little bit more in people's faces as well.
What does it say under how you can help? Click, mouse over that. Okay, it's not an automatic drop down with a couple of different options.
Because we also, we're volunteer driven, so we also have requests for volunteers, and we are also practicum sites for universities.
All right, so if somebody's not a real reader, they're going to look at this and see a whole bunch of little text, and they're going to go, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. I would put bullets in bold, and for each of the different ways they could help, make it really clear. Volunteer, donate, I don't know what else. But I would also put it at the top of the navigation bar as part of the mouse over drop-down menu. And I would have a separate element for volunteering and for donations. And I don't know what else. But put it on the front page so it's one less click, one less page to go to.
One more question, or Rob's going to have to go in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to learn about storytelling and sharing. What do I do?
Yeah. I ran a conference for 6 years on story, and I'll be terrible. I sell a course on it. It's a CD course with about 12 hours worth of lectures from experts on story. You ordered it to be $100. It's usually $150. But Google story and excellence. I mean, there's a lot out there. I don't know what you're.
Battle of the story.
Battle of the story. What's that?
So there's one story out there, and you want to tell a different story, and it's taking a look.
Oh, that sounds like this is a website.
If you Google that.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like fun. My website, which gives some information, is storycon.org for the conference that I ran.
StoryCon?
StoryCon. It's the story conference.
Oh.
Storycon.org. But there's a ton out there, and if you just start Googling story and excellence, you'll find stuff. Any other questions? I got a minute. All right.
Just ignore the fact that we were locked in.
We were.
Okay. Well, Rob, I want to thank you very much for sharing your time with us. As I said, I'll be putting out information about the people who were here, and we'll have a follow-up email in case you want to follow up with anyone else who was here with Rob. I think he'd invite people to contact him afterwards.
I'd love to hear from you.
And if anybody wants to stick around for a bite or a drink, please do so. Thanks a lot. See you next month. Thank you.